Hello, this is Constantine 1959. I want to share my wife's testimony with you because she thinks it would help some others if she does. Here I go. I would like to share with you a small piece of my wife's life that brought her to God. She writes, I had an anger at one time, an anger so deep that I didn't speak to God for almost 3 years of my life. The anger was triggered by my divorce that I had gone through, but that's another story. I moved far away from my home. I wanted to get lost, never to be found again. I wanted to die. I started my addiction at that time. Crack was my drug of choice. That's what I chose to try to kill myself with. It took away the pain and made me not care about anything. I was getting off work one evening. A terrible snowstorm had hit the coast. I had called a taxi hours before I got off work. It didn't come. The security man in the building had to lock up for the evening. A young black man. He didn't care that the taxi had not come or even that there was a blizzard outside. He locked up and I had no way home. I started to walk. I didn't even have a destination in mind. My apartment was too far away. I knew I wouldn't make it. I tried to make a collect call to my sister. That didn't work either. It's not that she could do anything for me. It's just a need. I needed a reassuring voice. The operator couldn't put the call through. I can't even remember the reason why she said she couldn't do it. I stood there arguing in the blizzard with the woman for 5 minutes before I finally gave up trying to use the phone. I started walking again. My feet were frozen from the storm, but still I struggled on. I had a backpack and a couple bags from the store. I thought to myself, you find what you really need in life when you're in a tight spot. After I arranged my backpack and threw away almost everything in the bags, I kept walking. I walked by a church. I was thinking I should just crawl under the front porch and die. It would serve them right to find my dead body frozen to the ground. I wanted to give up. I was still angry with God. You know, I never liked the atheists who say there is no God. I knew there was a God, and I was angry with him, and I was one stubborn woman. I was the kind of woman that, if you would say yes, I would say no, just to mess with you. So on with the story. I continued to walk, frozen and barely able to move. The wind and the snow were whipping around at a furious pace. So I finally said, "Okay, God, you got my attention. What do you want?" I had screwed my mouth into one of those lopsided, defeated positions like you see on a child that just got caught doing something wrong, and they know it. There wasn't an answer, but I knew he had heard me. I kept walking, fighting against the storm. As I walked, the snow and the wind blowing across my face. Cars were going by, but only a few. One of the cars did a U-turn and pulled up behind me, and a young black man stepped up and out of his car and shouted, "Lady," he said. "Yeah, right," I thought to myself as I continued to walk. "Hey, lady," he called again. Oh, great, I thought. Here I am, and now I have to fend off Jack the friggin' Ripper. They're probably going to find my dismembered body in a ditch somewhere. I ain't falling for that one. I kept walking. He got in the car and drove closer to me. I had been putting as much distance between me and him as I could. Lot of good that did. He proceeded to get out of the car again. He said, "Lady, God sent me." I turned around. I looked at him, thinking to myself, now you got my attention. We walked for a bit as he took me to my destination. He asked me what I was doing out in the snow. I told him my taxi hadn't come because of the storm. He said he was short on gas, and he hated to ask if I had any money to give him for gas. As I could see, his gas tank was almost empty. I told him it wasn't a problem, that I had plenty of money, just no taxi. Less than a month later, I went to visit my aunt. Still addicted to crack, I hadn't had any a while. I knew the odds of getting off of it was slim to none. The articles I had read on it said most people are addicted after the first hit. When I arrived at her house, I told her what had happened, and about the crack also. She remained silent at that time. A few days later, I sat across my aunt. She had taken me to lunch She is a very religious woman. She asked me point blank if I was addicted to crack. Not one pause. Did she make in her question extremely direct? I said yes. She then said, if there was a piece of crack lying on the table in front of you right now, would you smoke it? I said yes. She got the round-eyed shocked look and said, oh, we finished our lunch. Sunday morning, bright and early, I was rousted out of bed by her and told to get ready for church. I hadn't stepped inside a church well since I got married the first time, and that just hadn't worked out so well for me. I was thinking, so my aunt and her husband escorted my crack, ungodly self to, of all things, a church. I sat in the pew, listening to the sermon. My anger towards God had left somehow. Back on that snowy night that seemed a lifetime away, I said, God, you know I have struggled all my life. I can't do this. I can't free myself from this addiction. I just can't. I need your help, 'cause I can't do it alone. At that moment in time, I felt like a steel wall had descended on me. From that moment on, whenever I thought of crack, that wall was descended upon me. It's like nothing I have ever felt in my life. I have not touched crack for over 10 years and have no desire for it. In one moment, God had taken away my addiction. I got baptized that night. I wanted to tell my story so people who are struggling with addiction or addictions to sin know there is hope. God and will help a person. You just have to have faith. You must believe that He will help you. Trust in Him and He will help you. This is Constantine, 1959. Thank you for listening.